NHL regular season recap, night 187. Another 8 games tonight. The first one, the Panthers visiting Montreal, and it's a surprisingly solid game here from the Habs. Lundell, Armia, and Barkov all scoring in the first, but then Suzuki scores twice, his 31st and 32nd of the year, to make it a 3-2 game for the Canadiens, and then in the third, the Canadiens continue to roll. 2 goals in the first 4.5 minutes, one from Cole Caulfield, the other a shorty from Jake Evans, and just like that, it's a 5-2 game. Sam Bennett would score with about a minute 15 to go to make it 5-3, but the Canadiens get it done in a really good all-around effort. Shots are almost dead even, 39-40 in favor of the Panthers. Anthony Stolarz tonight, 34 of 39 and 872. Not a great game in an attempt to give Bob some rest. Sam Montembeault, though, very, very good, 37 of 40 for a 9.25 in the winning effort. A really good all-around game. Slavkovsky played pretty well. He was involved in a lot. Cole Caulfield, of course, getting back on the board. Suzuki with the 2 goals, and the goaltender playing very, very well. It's a very good all-around performance by Montreal, one they'll be happy with, a 5-3 victory over Florida. The Capitals visiting Buffalo, and this is where the mess in the Metro Division and in the East in general began tonight. Washington heading into this game, 73 games played. This is their 74th and 82 points. They get slammed by Buffalo, just outworked all over the ice. Martin Farivari scored pretty early on here, 3 minutes in, but Gergensons and Peterka come back before the end of the period to make it 2-1. Peterka scores again halfway through the second to make it 3-1. Stromer would score with about 45 seconds to go in the period to make it a 1-goal game, but in the third early on, Stalin, Thompson, and Tuck all scoring in the first 5.5 minutes. That's the end of Charlie Lindgren's night. Not really his fault at all. The team around him just did not play well. I think at the time of him getting pulled, the shots were like 31-13 in favor of Buffalo. Washington did wake up. The rest of that period, they do pretty well. 35-25 are the final on the shots, so you guys can do the math there on the end-of-game shots. But just in general, Buffalo, the much better team throughout the entire night. And it's a tough loss here, especially one in regulation for Washington, and we'll discuss why in the following games. So the first of the following Metro games, the Penguins taking on the Devils. These teams both still have an outside shot, but going into the game, both teams had 74 games played. The Devils at 76 points, the Penguins at 77. And the Penguins end up getting it done in a pretty tightly contested game. Carlson and Meyer trading goals in the first. Lazar and Bratt both scored the only goals in the second. It's 3-1 Devils after 2, and they completely give this one up. It's a bad third period from Jake Allen. Crosby scores on the power play. Malkin with his 22nd of the year, Raquel with his 13th, Malkin again with his 23rd, and then another from Crosby on the empty net. It ends up being a 6-3 final. It's a 5-goal third period here from the Penguins. Again, just not good enough from Jake Allen whatsoever. Some of the goals not his fault, but you need another save or two here for sure. Nedeljkovic, meanwhile, 23 of 26 for an 8.85. So after this game, both teams at 75 games played, the Penguins at 79 points, so they still have the extra game played over a team like Washington, but they are only 4 points back of Philly. They have the game in hand on them, and they're now right back in the dogfight, thanks to the Caps and Flyers yesterday losing. The Islanders hosting Chicago, a must-win game once again for a Metro team here in Long Island. Jason Dickinson scoring the first goal of the game about 7.5 minutes into the first, and then we go scoreless until the third period. And if you're an Islanders fan, you are sweating this one out the whole way through. But Bo Horvat scores about a minute and a half into the third on the power play to tie us up at 1, and then about midway through the third period, it's Simon Holmstrom, his 14th of the year. It's a 2-1 game, and that is the eventual game winner. Ilya Sorokin and the Islanders defense hangs on. The Blackhawks only got 5 shots in the third, so it was not a ton of quality chances, and frankly, they never looked all that threatening, but they hold down the fort nonetheless. 29-19 are the shots here in favor of the Islanders. Mrazek, 27 of 29 for a 9.31. Sorokin, 18 of 19 for a 9.47. And this one, once again, the Islanders also now at 75 games played, but just 1 point back of both Detroit and Washington. Again, Washington only 74 games played. Detroit also at 75, and the Flyers at 76 with 83 points. So a huge win here from the Islanders over a team they should be beating at this point in the year. And we'll see what happens on Thursday when we have some more Metro matchups. We'll see if the Islanders can sneak in here. It's coming down to the wire. The Wild hosting the Senators, and the Wild end up getting it done tonight. Shaw in the first, Boley and Batherson in the second, Chikrin and Letary in the third. Both goalies here had some decent saves, but Korpisalo just gets out-dueled by Marc-Andre Fleury. 30 of 32 for Fleury. Korpisalo 17 of 20, a 9.38 and 8.50 respectively. It's a solid win for Minnesota against a team they should be beating. Again, I don't think this team's finding a way to sneak into the playoffs by any means, but good to see them winning these types of games at the end of their season to try to build, I guess, into next year. Once again, a 3-2 final here in Minnesota over Ottawa. The Bruins visiting Nashville, and it's a swift third period here from Boston that ends up carrying them to victory. The only goals in this game coming in that final frame, and it's all three in favor of the Bruins. Charlie Coyle, shorthanded, Pavel Zacha, even strength, and then an empty netter from David Pastrnak, his 46th of the year. Both goalies obviously very, very good in this one. Allmark goes a perfect 32 for 32. UC Saros 29 of 31 for a 935. It was a very evenly contested back and forth game. The Bruins the better team in the first, Nashville the better team in the second, and then pretty even in the third, aside from, of course, the goal scoring as far as the shots go. 11 to 5, 6 to 12, and then 15-15 for the Bruins, and then for Nashville, so evened up 32 apiece here. It's a solid win from Boston. Nashville looking very competitive against one of the better teams in the league, so as much as they would have liked to have the win, they will take this just from a competition standpoint heading into the playoffs, where they're very likely going to be playing one of, if not the better teams in the Western Conference. Again, here 3-0 is the final in favor of Boston. The Ducks taking on the Calgary Flames, and for the first time in what seems like forever, the Ducks both outshoot and outscore their opponent. They beat Calgary tonight. McTavish in the first, Sharangovich, Kuzmenko, and Terry in the second, and then Fowler, Killorn with 2, and Kuzmenko with another in the third. It's a 5-3 victory here for Anaheim. Olin Zellweger continues to pile on the points. He has 3 assists in this one. Of course, Killorn and Kuzmenko both scoring 2 goals. Neither goalie was all that great. Markstrom, the worst of the two, he goes 24 for 29 for an 828. DeStahl, 21 for 24 for an 875. I will continue to push my theory that DeStahl just plays better when he faces more shots. Once again, only 24 tonight. 875 is not horrible, but certainly not up to his standards. Nonetheless, the Ducks take care of business tonight. 5-3 is the final over Calgary. The Golden Knights hosting the Canucks in our final game tonight, and it was a curb stomping in the first period especially. Mantha, Marchessault, Eichel, and Hanifin all scoring for Vegas. Niels Hoglander, the only Canucks goal in the first. Carlson and Hughes trading goals in the second. Quinn Hughes adds a second in the third, and then Brett Howden trades with him there. Those goals just 20-some seconds apart. Nonetheless, a 6-3 pounding by the Golden Knights tonight, and of course, Logan Thompson continues to be quite good. 27 of 30 for him, while DeSmith just 24 of 30. That's a 900 versus an 800 save percentage, and again, it's a 6-3 final here in favor of Vegas, and that's it for NHL regular season recap night 167. Hopefully the Canucks go into the playoffs stronger than they've been playing lately, because it has not been pretty. We'll find out more about that tomorrow, because they play Arizona, a team they should beat alongside, I think, 4 or 5 other games. So we'll talk to you guys then. Have a good one.